welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow. You're watching this very special series, Eye on Dubai, talking about all the innovation that comes out of the Dubai UAE market. Today on the show, we're talking about the advances we've seen in the field of education, EdTech, and what are the opportunities, what are the big trends, particularly for Indian students, and why you should be looking at that market. All of that being discussed on the panel tonight. Let me quickly introduce our guests. Glen Radojkovich, Deputy Director of Education, Taaleem Education. Gary Fernandes, Head of Prospect Experience, Heriot-Watt University. Manal Hakim, Founder and CEO, Geek Express. Hannan Moti, Co-Founder, iCodejr.com. Manal, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time here on Eye on Dubai, the special series really talking about the technology and the innovation that we've seen that's coming out of the Dubai UAE market. And I want to start with you, Glen, if I may, and really talk about how K-12 education has evolved and has changed, responding to the opportunity, if I can call it that, really, of this post-pandemic era.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one for us. I think in Taaleem, we didn't really pump the brakes during COVID. So we went into COVID with 9 schools. We came out with 26. There's been significant growth in the company during that time. But some areas that we're certainly focusing on and looking at in terms of development are around the tech space and having the right tech footprint. One of the interesting pieces about all schools going online during this time is it's given us an opportunity to examine what are the best approaches, what's the best platform to ensure that our students are being successful, and at the same time we're providing the right sort of opportunities and the right balance for them with face-to-face learning, which came out as a preference from our students and parents. And in addition to that, ensuring that we provide the right technology and we have the right skin in the game with regards to technology across our schools. I think in addition to that, pedagogically, a strategic focus for us is to ensure that well-being is addressed, and well-being has become such a paramount issue for our students post-COVID. Obviously, they've missed out on so many opportunities in life during this time.
Sure.
So opportunities for them to engage in collaboration, opportunities for them to get involved again in ECAs, to see the smiles behind the masks, all those sorts of things have to come back into education. Yeah. We're working strategically on ensuring that happens appropriately, and that our students return to the love of learning that we've been able to manage through COVID, but is going to be improving significantly in the time ahead.
And you're raising such an important point, Glen, the touch and feel really when it comes to education and the quality of education, which in India, several studies showing quality of education is being impacted because students are not learning as much perhaps online as they are when it comes to peer-to-peer learning and, being physically back in schools. With that being said, Glen, Gary, let me come to you next and really talk about how this shift in this movement to having more and more advanced technologies when it comes to education, how is that really changing the landscape as far as Dubai and the UAE market is concerned?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I mean, if you look at the pandemic, the global pandemic, it's given us a chance to rely on technology, across all sectors, especially in education. And, it comes as no surprise that, face-to-face learning is definitely hands down better than online learning, as students get to interact with the faculty members, they get to be amongst their peers. But it's also given us a chance to review and see what we can do in EdTech, and better use of technologies like the advanced technologies. For example, at Heriot-Watt, we use in our virtual learning environment, we use Canvas to be able to engage our students. Previously, we used to use Blackboard. There are several techs out there. What's important is that it's helped bridge the gap as well when it comes to adult education. For example, if I was working nonstop, 24/7, how do I juggle work and studies at the same time? And it's allowed us to sort of access education on the go. And we've seen this across Dubai and the UAE at large. Universities and schools pivoted very quickly during the pandemic to offer what is called blended learning. To put it simply, blended learning is, combines best of both worlds, traditional learning, but also being able to connect with students, virtually. And they've got a record of lectures. They can access their the course materials. At Heriot-Watt, we took it one step further. I mean, we introduced something called responsive blended learning. Again, best of both worlds, but also the education that responds to the changing dynamic learning environment as well. And we're starting to see a lot of results. We're starting to see a lot of outcomes from it. Very positive ones. I can say that blended learning is here to stay. I also want to touch upon the fact that we're going to see a lot of new changes as well. For example, there's a trend in metaverse, which is an upcoming a trend again in higher education, again long term, but you'll see some evolution in that front as well.
Absolutely, and we were just talking with Meta, in fact, the other day about all the changes that we are going to see as far as the future of technology is concerned. Manal, my next question to you is that, we've kicked off this panel today really talking about technology, the future of technology, EdTech, etc. But what are those technologies? Can you help our viewers understand what those technologies are which students are going to be tapping into and will need to know?
I think first of all, it's great to be here with you today. I think without a doubt, it's coding. Your contribution is hugely improved by your level of tech literacy and specifically your ability to code. Even creativity, I would say, is improved with your ability to code. So as a designer, if you can code, you can have better user interface. You can create your own fonts, you can create your own colors, your own animations. If you're a doctor, your profession requires it more and more today. Robots are used in surgeries. And if you work in finance, you work in marketing, same thing. You will need to develop a VR experience to promote a certain service or a certain product. So if you really know how to code, you are cutting the middleman here. Because every business today is a tech business, and you will need to have this conversation. So in reality, you are saving time. I would also say that coding is a lifelong skill, and learning how to code is learning computational thinking. And it's very important that you do it at a young age. And then eventually you will pick up the right language for a specific career, profession at a specific point in time.
My next question to you, Hannan, since we are talking to entrepreneurs, I'm really curious to understand the journey and the inspiration behind setting up of iCodejr Junior. What was that one big, perhaps, aha moment? What was that journey like?
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Appreciate being here. So technology touches every aspect of human life in the 21st century, right? It could be communication, it could be travel, it could be retail, finance, bedrock of all of which is code. And reliance on this is only going to increase in the future. And we at iCodejr Junior found that most students aren't equipped with these necessary skills that prepare them for the world of tomorrow. Gary spoke about metaverse, and what is that? It's design plus code, right? So we're hoping to bridge that gap. Students learn best at an early age, and our mission is to provide them with the best-in-class coding and robotics education by our affordable, state-of-the-art and interactive environment. I think that's the key here.
Okay. Glenn, let me come back to you and talk about really, the kind of education which is being provided in Dubai from a competitiveness angle. What would you like to tell our viewers? Does this prepare you to, perhaps be able to then go on to any sort of a job, give you any sort of degree that you're perhaps looking at? What can you tell us on that?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting landscape to be in. Okay. You'll probably be aware Dubai has the second largest number of international schools in the world outside of China. It has the largest collection of expats working within those schools. And so you have a high level of quality educators moving to that area to ensure they're delivering best practice in the curriculum areas that are provided within the UAE. Obviously, there is IB schools, UK schools, British curriculum schools, Indian curriculum schools. The gamut is huge. And, within Taaleem, we cover the vast majority of those curriculum areas and obviously have outstanding rated schools in each of those areas. What's important for us is to ensure that we're offering competitive packages, competitive environment for teaching and learning.
I have to take a quick commercial break. On that note, we're back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're with us here on our Eye on Dubai special series on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight on the show, we're talking about EdTech. Gary, let me come to you and very briefly, if you can talk to us about perhaps, pick one or two of the top trends that we're seeing as far as the higher education space. What are the top trends we're seeing?
Yeah, so I think student mobility will grow again. Students have been I feel caged up, and they are ready to sort of now get out, get back into classrooms. They're ready to take a vaccination. They're ready to even go into quarantine if required, to be there face to face. At the same time, I think new technologies, be it virtual reality or metaverse, will help bridge the gap as well for students that can't make it to class. They can't travel. Also, how we learn is going to change as well. This is important because Stanford University came up with the concept of open loop education, where learning is in the lifetime of the student, not loaded onto the front end when they start adulthood. So I think learning is going to be lifelong. How we teach is going to change. And also the age of the student. It need not be 18 years. It could be someone in their 20s, pursuing an internship opportunity or an exciting opportunity with an organization and I think the education landscape will become competitive. One last point I'd like to make, Sunanda, and if I can throw actually one more in addition. So it's the industry. I think industry academic collaboration is going to be a huge beat in research. So these are some of the trends we're going to see in higher education.
Manal, my next question is to you. Gary was talking about some of the skills which are going to be required. You were also talking to us about some of the skills that are required, including coding, etc. My question to you is, how does one go about finding the best quality of education when it comes to the Dubai UAE market?
Actually, this is one of the key problems that we tackle at Geek Express. I believe that tech education is available in the region, in top tier schools, in international academies, and in local centers. But if you want to have an efficient and effective learning experience, you need to onboard both parents and children. And when you're talking to parents, parents really want accreditation. They want relevant content. They want the content to be reliable. They want reliable trainers. And at the same time, they want an easy and frictionless journey. But when you talk to the child really, what matters to him, the child wants to enjoy this process. They want to have fun. And so that brings the issue of student centricity. I believe it has to be a personalized student-centric approach. And once you have all these elements of gamification, student centricity, accessibility for parents, easiness of journey, then you have a successful model.
Sure. Hannan, since you're working with a very specific age group and you were talking to us about that, do you perhaps see, both the attitude as well as the interest around coding being introduced at a very young age? Do you see that happening in curriculum? And, what's the way forward they're looking like?
Yeah, definitely, Sunanda. So we were pleasantly surprised to see how receptive students now are towards learning to code. So we recently conducted a hackathon called Code Battle, and we had over 250 students participate from 17 schools, which brought us to the fact that, schools are focusing on implementing coding as part of their curriculum. In fact, we're working directly with some schools as we speak to further the STEM agenda, but definitely I see schools including coding as part of the curriculum. The question is how much they can do and how we as EdTech startups can help contribute towards that.
As we're running out of time on today's panel, let me very quickly and briefly get in some more questions and get the perspective of all of you on today's panel to really talk to our entrepreneurs and our viewers on how you see things panning out. Maybe Hannan, I'll come to you first. Just talk to us about why Dubai is such a preferred market when it comes to the education space.
Sure, and I think Glenn touched upon this already, but I would have to say it's the vision of the leadership of the country and the city itself. So there are clear guidelines from the government and the rulers on the importance of education amongst the youth and to sort of build a knowledge economy. Combining that with the fact that UAE is an entrepreneurial nation makes it perfect market for EdTech. Based here, we have access to the best resource. It could be in terms of talent or infrastructure or support in terms of easy access to capital. But moreover, there's a lot of initiatives from the government, for instance, the Arab Coders initiative being one of them, where the government itself is trying to encourage the right forums to promote the right level of education. And I believe that complements iCodejr and our mission and vision.
Gary, let me come to you first and talk about, just a very brief 30-40 second snapshot, if you can give us about how the Dubai education market has really been evolving and what are some of the big changes or trends that you're foreseeing in the mid to short term?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I'll promise to be succinct this time. So just, Dubai has evolved, when it comes to higher education, and we're shifting now from, dependence on oil and gas industries to a more knowledge-based economy. And education is a key pillar. I mean, when it comes to building that knowledge-based economy, and I'll add even human empowerment as well. The next 50 years are going to be super important for the UAE at large in the education sector, as we will focus on fostering a high quality education system that ensures competitiveness at the early childhood. We're going to see innovation, innovative global system that develops future skills. We're also going to see alignment of high education, outputs that meet industry demand as well. Manal mentioned about coding. I mean, that is what the industry is looking for right now. And I know His Highness Sheikh Mohammed had announced a lot of initiatives, and one of them was the Coders Initiative as well. There are opportunities to even get a golden visa for talented professionals in this area. But also the education system, you're going to see a complete transformation to something that's world class. We've got a safe environment for students to live and study and get access to quality education, and you're going to see a lot happening in this space.
Manal, let me come to you and talk about the biggest opportunities, the biggest advantages for someone, especially an Indian student who perhaps is looking at the Dubai UAE market to say, what are the advantages which are being offered and why should I be looking at this region?
Actually, I'm going to take this question from another angle. It's more of why should there be, what is the biggest opportunity in the region? Simply,
Sure.
Reality is the population in the MENA region has doubled over the past decade. There are 400 million people. Youth represents 25%. That's an unprecedented 100 million, and that's the largest youth population in the world. So there are currently 25 million in schools. In my opinion, the biggest opportunity here in the region, from an entrepreneur, from a school perspective, is the fact that the market size is huge, and there's a lot of potential.
Let me come to you then, Glenn. If you can talk about Expo 2020. And, we've been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of coverage really around Expo 2020 and what it means for Indian entrepreneurs and what it means for the global stage. But just in terms of promoting education, EdTech and innovation, what can you tell us on that?
Look, I think it's like many things within the UAE. The government has done a phenomenal job in terms of ensuring that there has been a quality provision with the Expo. It's probably been the best Expo we've seen in the world. A huge gathering of nations. Certainly from an Indian perspective, for students looking at the region, you have a reflection in Dubai and in the UAE of a similar sort of approach to the Expo, where you have a gathering of multicultural thinkers, innovators, and planners. And if you look at the need for that in the future, it's paramount. As we become more of a global society, our students need to be able to interact with people from around the globe. The international schools have anywhere up to 180 different nationalities. You need to be able to work in partnership with people in those schools and to learn from them. So I think this is a great opportunity for Indian students, but it's a great opportunity for any student within the world to go and base themselves within Dubai and start to understand how to work and think globally.
We are the city of the future, Dubai. It's an exciting place to be in. One of the things that stands out, and as a parent, I would say this as well, it's safe. We're one of the, we rank high in the safety index, so second in the world. And as a parent wanting to send, their daughter or son to come and study, they can just, think about Dubai as a study destination.
Sure.
What we're also seeing right now is opportunities for students we've never seen before. Taking up opportunities like, internships with organizations, part-time jobs. We're also seeing, this whole culture of startup economy. And support for startups and entrepreneurship, and I think this is what makes Dubai a great destination for students to select. And we've got some world-class universities and schools here, even boarding schools as well. For parents and students to select. So yeah, these are some of the points that make Dubai a great destination for students to consider.
All right, Manal, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Pleasure.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll bring you more such conversations here on the show. For tonight, though, it's a wrap. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.